What's going on, guys? In today's video, I want to talk about a topic as a New York Giants fan I've always been interested in. If we could have the Super Bowl 42 champion 2007 New York Giants face off against the 2011 Super Bowl 46 champions, who would win? And who's the better team? Because it's an interesting matchup when you start to think about it. They're both very similar teams, but they're both very different in some ways. Uh, Offensively, you look at the '07 team, it was very run heavy. It was a young Eli that was only 3 years in the league, Eli. It was much more dependent on Brandon Jacobs and Ahmad Bradshaw. And, you look at the receiving core, you had, of course, David Tyree, who made the greatest catch in Super Bowl history, the helmet catch. We'll get into the comparison between that and the Manningham catch. But like I said, the receiving core, you had David Tyree, veteran Amani Toomer. I believe that would be his last year. You had Plaxico Burress, who was prime Plaxico, who was an absolute beast, especially in the NFC Championship game versus the Packers. But Eli was nowhere near as good as he would be, and we'll get to the 2011 season in a minute. But he was, still made a lot of mistakes. Had the talent there, but just didn't have the experience yet. He was so young in the league. The 017 had a crazy tough road to get to the Super Bowl. Starting 0-2. They won all those games on the road. They went to London. They went to Green Bay. They went to Dallas. Very up and down season. That's how they were both very similar, though. The 2011 Giants had also very up and down year. Neither of these teams, no one thought going into the year, could be in the Super Bowl. It's funny because after they both won it, a lot of people thought the next year's in the '07 team, one of the biggest upsets, the biggest upset, I believe, in sports history. Double-digit underdog in the Super Bowl itself. But going back to the '07 team, its strengths, like I said, the running game was definitely their biggest strength. And then, of course, offensively, but of course, defensively, it was the defensive line, Osi Manura, Michael Strahan, a young Justin Tuck, even the linebackers, Antonio Pierce. The Giants are still looking for a linebacker as good as him. Even Kavika Mitchell, he had a great game in the Super Bowl. I just watched it recently. Would it be in the Super Bowl? I just passed. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs and Patty Mahomes. Unbelievable, just unbelievable. I can't even say. But of course, the defense was the best part of that '07 team. The secondary was still very good. They had Aaron Ross, who had just come off the national championship a couple years before that. Sam Madison, who was great. So a lot of great pieces. The 2011 team secondary might be a little more experienced. The '07 one might have been a little bit more athletic. But the key for the '07 defense was the defensive line, and that's where they have a huge advantage over any team. Then you look at the 2011 team, and offensively, it's a completely different story. There was no real running game to speak of. It's funny because it was the same running backs in Brandon Jacobs and in Ahmad Bradshaw, but the production was nowhere near. That was rookie year Ahmad Bradshaw in '07. The explosive, speedy back with the big power back. You don't really even see that anymore. Even by 2011, it wasn't as a thing having multiple running backs. Not as much. I mean, you had like Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Russell like in Carolina, but the Giants were still trying to go with that. It wasn't really working, but the passing game was the key for the 2011 team. Eli just played out of his mind that season. Could have even been in the MVP discussion, in my opinion. The weapons were much better. You had Victor Cruz, who burst on the scene. Without him, the Giants don't even make it to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. Hakeem Nicks was young, developing that big body receiver who was coming to his own, and then Manningham, who made an amazing catch on the sideline, one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history. I believe it was more of a throw from Eli on this one. I mean, you can even see there he just put it in that right spot for Manningham to come down with it. But Manningham, gotta give him credit, he knew he's going to take a shot here while he's bringing this ball in. He catches it, gets the feet down, knows he's going to take a shot, holds on to the ball. So, great on his part. But comparing the two, the helmet catch is better. But anyway, back to the 2011 team. Again, their strengths were the passing game. Eli, again, a veteran at this point. He knows what to do. Still makes mistakes. Still's going to throw interceptions. Still did plays that were like, what the hell are you doing? But comparison to where he was in 2007, it was a crazy difference. And he was just unbelievable in this season. I mean, he would be a huge difference in this game and a huge advantage for the 2011 team. It'd be a question of, could the offensive line of the 2011 team hold up versus the defense line of the 2007 team? That's a tough question, because the 2007 offensive line, I believe, was better, much better than the 2011 offensive line with like Will Beatty and David Boss, I believe, was the center. Then of course 2007 you had Sean O'Hara, Kareem McKenzie. So there, the 2007 team has an advantage. So like I said, it's very tough because they're both so similar, but they're both so different. They both have their strengths. You can say 2007 they built offensive line, but 2011 had the better passing game. 2007 had the better rushing game. But 2011 was much more of an explosive offense. You can maybe rely on the offense a little bit more to win you games versus 2007. That wasn't really a thing that happened. It was stick around and make the plays when you absolutely had to make the plays. So it would be very tough. And just real quick, again, helmet catch I think was better catch than the Manningham one, and just a whole better play too. If we're looking at the entire play, I mean, Eli had to get out. The fact he even gets out of the sack, it's third down. I mean, he takes a sack there, then it's fourth and forever. You could lose a Super Bowl versus the 2011 one. It was 1st and 10. It was the first play of that final drive, which was huge. Don't get me wrong, and that play does not happen. They don't win that game. And it's funny because people say, oh, when that, even I've said it. Oh, when the helmet catch happened, I knew we were going to win that game. I knew the Giants were going to win the game. It was funny. Eli was like, he said, I didn't know. And really, when you look at it, he's right. There still were 4 plays after that. And we still to score a touchdown. They're still down by 4. Of course, one of the greatest moments in Giants history and my entire life. Plaxico catching the game-winning touchdown, burst alone. Touchdown New York. I mean, it just sends chills up my spine when I hear that. But giving my final, I've gone into the different comparisons of the teams. My thoughts, and just real quick, this picture from the London game. This was the London game. It sparked. Now it's NFL's going to like every country you can think of, Germany and Brazil, and it's kind of getting ridiculous. But this was the first one, Wembley Stadium, that started it all. And the Giants they really went on the road. They went on the road everywhere: London, Green Bay, Dallas, Philly. I mean, everywhere. Everything you can think of. They were on the road, negative 26-degree weather. And is that a factor in with this team better because they had the tougher road and faced the tougher team at the end? But I think it would be tough, but I would still go with the 2011 team to win, and I say it was the better team, in my opinion, solely because I think the offense was just so much better with Eli and Manningham and Cruz and Nix, and even Jake Ballard and Bear Pasco, and but I think that would be the key factor in who would win the game. Would be Eli. He was so much better in that 2011 versus the 2007 season, but it would be very close. It would be a tough game. I could see people making the argument for the 2007 team, like I said, with the defensive line. But I would go 2011. Also, just real quick, since the rain is on the screen, I think the 2011 rain looks better aesthetically. They're both beautiful. The 2007 one, doesn't have the color, but it looks great. 3 rings and it's jeweled out. But again, in my opinion, and in this contest that I've always kind of thought of which one is better because they are so similar, but they are so different. I would go the 2011 New York Giants to win if we could somehow make this happen, and there'd even be so many players that are going to be on both teams. But that'll do it for this video. Thanks for watching me this far. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. See you next time.